Man, yeah, it's not always easy to make this show when you're the jokey guy and the news is serious. Couple really tragic stories today, and I'll try to pepper in something fun. There's a lot going on in cruising. Yeah, let's go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I am your host, Tony, here to talk you through everything going on in cruising. It's a cruise show. It's for your face. And like I said, the beginning of the show is going to be kind of heavy, and then we'll try to yuck it up at the end. But first, let's talk about something that happened in New York a couple days ago. There's a Mexican naval training vessel, a big sailing ship with masts and everything. And they're still not sure what happened, but somehow it reversed its way into the Brooklyn Bridge. And where it hit the Brooklyn Bridge was, of course, not tall enough to accommodate the ship. And 19 of the crew members on board were injured. 2 of the crew members were injured fatally. So we have loss of life. There's an investigation going on right now. About 45 seconds before the ship hit the bridge, there was a call for help, a call for assistance from tugboats. Speculation running rampant. Did something happen with the power? It's uncertain at this point, but this thing's been captured by so many cameras. A lot of people were able to witness it. And if you see the video clips of it, it's just devastating because just out of nowhere, this really ornate, kind of cool looking multi-mast, sailing vessel just crashes into the Brooklyn Bridge. The loss of life, obviously the worst part of the story. Everything's repairable that was damaged. Really no damage to the bridge. But investigators trying to figure out what happened. It's just tragic. Tragedy. Another wild thing that you don't expect to hear while you're on your cruise is that the captain of the vessel passes away. But this is exactly what happened on the Diamond Princess yesterday. Diamond Princess doing a 19-day sailing. Japan, Taiwan, China, Korea. And guests were informed yesterday morning that the 2 a.m. medical emergency that some of them heard being announced was a medical emergency for the captain. They received a letter in their cabin saying that Captain Michelle Bartolome had passed away from a medical emergency. This is certainly an infrequent. I don't know another example. I'm assuming that this has probably happened before, but I can't think of one in recent times where a cruise captain has passed away during the cruise sailing. Of course, the second in command takes over the vessel, and not really the issue here. It's just a sad loss. Captain Bartolome approaching his 30th anniversary with Princess Cruises, and of course the outpouring from the company and then people that know him very much forthcoming right now, praising who he was as a ship's captain. Certainly a painful time upcoming for friends and family of Captain Bartolome. And certainly our hearts and thoughts go out to those that will be working through that. Okay, the bad news keeps rolling on. This one obviously not as heavy as loss of life, but there are a lot of people that are upset because they just got notified that their 35-night voyage, like a bucket list voyage, has been canceled by P&O Cruises. Articles all over the place saying thousands of people disrupted by this cancellation and everybody is upset. To be fair, this is a cruise that's happening in 2027 on the P&O Ventura, or was going to happen in 2027, January 2027 on the P&O Ventura. The guests were notified that because of operational reasons that this has to be canceled. This 35-day cruise has to be canceled. However, their booking will be moved over to P&O Iona. And from what I can gather, it doesn't look like Iona is doing a 35-day continuous sailing, but it's sailing similar itineraries that were part of the 35-day. But P&O issued a statement saying, yeah, sometimes that happens. And that we're sorry, and that, we're moving people around, but sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, as it were. So, I can imagine that if you really thought, hey, 2 years from now, I'm going to go on a 35-day voyage, and you're kind of locked into that, and then all of a sudden it gets pulled out from under you. Definitely a pain of cancellation. Pain of cancellation. Okay, let's lighten this show up a bit. There is a new report coming out from the Cruise Line International Association, CLIA, about the cruise numbers from 2024. How many people globally do you think went on cruise ships in 2024? I'll give you a second to formulate your guess. 34.6 million cruisers in 2024. The estimate for 2025, 37.7 million. And then the further estimate out into 2028, 41.9 million cruisers. This was like the state of cruising, the report. So a lot of data coming out of that. Most notably, back in 2024, of those 34.6 million passengers, 30% were first-time cruisers. This is significant because, you know, we have this conversation about things that are changing in cruises, things that are being taken away, things that are less good, I don't know, than it was, you know, a few years ago or whatever. The interesting thing with this business, this cruise business, is that you have some cruisers aging out. They won't be cruising anymore. Those people that have a, you know, memory of what cruising used to be. But when you change your product and you have new cruisers coming in, all they know is that product. All they know is that room service costs something, or all they know is, you know, you only get your room cleaned once a day. And if they like that experience and they come back, then that becomes the new norm. So you have 30% of these people, you know, kind of experiencing the new norm, and they don't have those same feelings of like, oh, something's being taken away. So I feel like that's how the cruise business hedges the bet when they make these changes that will maybe, you know, anger somebody that's cruised a lot or, you know, previous. I think they know that this rotation of passengers make those changes more tolerable because you have new people that don't realize it's a change at all. It's an interesting, just a fascinating aside, I think, the way that this business works. And then also in 2024, we saw double the amount of solo cruisers, up to 12% in 2024. That was up from 6% in 2023. So we've got more solos coming onto the scene, which will put some pressure on the idea of the single supplement, which will put some pressure on cruise lines to build more solo cabins. I think solo people are finding that this is a great way that you can go on vacation, fairly safe, a good opportunity to meet other solo travelers. And as that number increases, then all of those things get better. So that should put some pressure on the cruise industry to pay more attention to solo travelers. Another interesting trend is that we're seeing younger cruisers start to cruise more, but in a very specific way. We've got a lot of millennial and Gen Z cruisers coming on cruise ships, but they're looking for expedition cruises. Expedition cruising up 22% in 2024. And, you know, that's for a lot of reasons. We have more expedition cruise ships now in play, more expedition itineraries, but it does seem to be drawing the younger people into the cruise business. But those efforts do seem to be drawing a younger crowd into the broader cruising space, which I think is good. And then on the opposite end, maybe, we're also seeing more and more luxury cruise brands come alive. You know, MSC releasing their luxury cruise brand. We see Ritz-Carlton coming into the space. And so you got cruising expanding in a lot of directions, trying to take on customers from a lot of directions, right? You know, let's target the affluent with the luxury brand. Let's target those younger folks looking for adventure with expedition brand. Let's continue to expand the bread and butter of cruising as we build more mainline cruise ships. So overall, the projection and the story of cruising is good. Again, it's always a balance between what's good for the industry and what's good for the consumer. I know a lot of things have changed even the 8 years that I've been cruising, and it's definitely a different experience here in 2025 than it was back in 2017. And some things are better and some things are worse. More of some things and less of some things. I certainly think cruising continues to be a great value proposition when compared to a land-based vacation. And certainly I'm not the only one with that sentiment because we see more and more people jumping on cruise ships every year. Yeah, interesting report out from CLIA. And I think a lot of the things that we've been thinking about are proving out to be true. So interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Now, I got to tell you about this outlandish demand made by a Carnival cruiser that's really toasted my buns. But before I do that, I got to take a break. Dance break. Get up. Get up. dance break. What is that today? That's flamenco. The song is called Augusto Caliente. Augusto Caliente. And that's by the Los Principals de Flamenco. My pronunciation probably horrible though, but yeah, look, a lot of folks have been asking, how's the knee? I've gone to physical therapy 3 times now, and that's pretty cool actually. Again, the first time I went was a challenge because I was exercising muscles I hadn't really exercised in a long time, and I had that whole first time you've used a muscle in a while pain. But since then, it's calmed down pretty well, and I like it. I'm doing all these different exercises, and they give you a massage at the end of it, and I feel like it's helping. So, yeah, again, I said it the last time, on the road to recovery with the physical therapy. But, yeah, we'll keep dancing slowly and surely. I'm trying not to twist my knee too much, so you guys have to do all the funky knee shaking at home. But, yeah, a little flamenco for the dance break today. Now, let me tell you about an outrageous demand being put forth by a Carnival Cruise passenger. Are you ready for this one? There is a Carnival Cruise passenger that wrote in upset because there are no public, like out and about public, all day, 24-hour a day public toasters. That's right, toaster. The reason is this woman's child's favorite snack is a Pop-Tart. This is a great debate. What is better, just an open the pack, eat the Pop-Tart, or does the Pop-Tart need to be toasted? For this family, the Pop-Tart has to be toasted, and Carnival needs to do a better job of providing public toasters for Pop-Tarts. Whew. I'm not sure how some people walk around this world. I say it often, you know, the worst question is an unasked question. But yeah, you know, I don't really think Carnival is going to be deploying toasters so that you can toast Pop-Tarts throughout the day. That is the big question for the day. What is the best flavor of Pop-Tart? When I was a kid, I just wanted chocolate on top of chocolate. So you give me chocolate with chocolate fudge. But as an adult, I think I've refined my Pop-Tart taste. I might be a frosted cherry guy now. I'll say it. I might be a cold frosted cherry guy. Please participate in the show by answering the big question down in the first comment. I'll give you some choices. I'll probably even put some fictitious Pop-Tart flavors in there. See if you can spot them. Fictitious. Also, I don't think you've seen this video. That's why YouTube's putting it on the screen. Make sure you watch that next. Be in the know and subscribe for more. This is Tony for La Lita Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido.